Maybe telluric currents, geomagnetic currents, are equivalent to compressed air being forced through the interior cavity of the EV Gray motor in its era of development post-FCC raid, development by Richard Hackenberger. Maybe like that compressed air, the telluric currents of the Earth suppresses arcing to occur, and the encouragement of the stabilization of an electrostatic field if you set one up, such as the two sets of grounding rods, the 4 in the middle and the 56 or more surrounding them. Of course, rain undermines that electrostatic field, but oddly enough, the lack of a telluric current also undermines that for two opposite reasons. Even both are a flow of a sort, but the flow of water shorts out the soil, while the flow of magnetic current might just encourage it for some odd reason, provided there's no water to short it out. In fact, the presence of telluric current might override whether or not the soil gets wet or dry to some degree, and offset the hazard of a rainstorm. So in the face of a lack of a telluric current, rain becomes an added burden of trying to replicate Barbosa and Leal, on top of the burden of not having much of any telluric current to start with. So I don't know, whether or not it's applicable, I always try to look for ways to integrate a prior thought to see if it fits. And it's really a question of how long does it last? How long does it hold up to various circumstances thrown at it? And the possibility that what we can learn from Mark McKay's analysis of the EV Gray motor post-FCC raid, the second raid, might be applicable in this case as to how significant, or in what manner. In what manner is it significant to have a strong geomagnetic force in the Earth when you want to get the benefit of a Barbosa and Leal captor device with the least amount of effort, because it is, as Clarence and others have said, it's a great deal of effort to put a grounding rod in the soil. And I had my, well, actually, it wasn't hard to do it in the soft soil in a different area where I used to live, but right where I am now, it's such hard pan, it's extremely difficult to put anything in the soil. And that's why I wonder why, or if, a tree can be a substitute for a grounding rod. Spacing on trees may not be hospitable, but could it make up the difference as a magnifying ground rod, as a ground rod that's even more efficient than a ground rod, a tree? I don't know. That's just open for speculation, and I think it's worthy of speculation because it's more natural, except would the tree get fried? That's what I worry about. If it's strictly voltage, if the ground rods are strictly a voltage phenomenon, then they shouldn't be. Because if they're bereft of amperage, there's nothing to fry. There's no force to fry them with, I mean. And so trees could be used because there would be no safety issue. It's just a question of whether or not they'd be any better than grounding rods spaced closer together, especially if the trees are spaced far apart in a forest or orchard. But it certainly is a curiosity, one that just begs me to find out. It keeps begging me to find out if it would make a difference at all as a substitute for grounding rods, or a substitute for many grounding rods. Maybe you just have one. Actually, the 4 in the center should be of the same type. They should be, to match. Yeah, they should be equally matched. Oh well.